Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. In this episode, we're talking about Microsoft Xbox, and you can control it with your TV remote, and also some enhancements to the Xbox One X and Series X controllers. So, we'll first talk about the enhancements to the controllers. So, the Microsoft or the Xbox One controller is getting some boosts, some benefits, where they'll basically have be supporting the Bluetooth low energy mode. So what this allows for is basically the remote play of those controllers to be Bluetooth to like Android devices or iOS devices or PCs or consoles, where you can basically go from, you can basically switch from all these devices in a quick succession. So once you link in Bluetooth to them, you'll be able to basically double tap the sync button to sync quickly to the last thing you synced to. So you could basically sync quickly to your PC or to the iOS device or to the console, which is a double tap of the sync button without having to resync them completely, which is also an awesome feature. It's currently a feature on the Xbox Series X controllers, but with the Xbox One controllers, with this firmware update, they'll be able to do that. Like your Xbox Series X controllers can. So that's cool. With the Xbox Series X controllers, they're delivering a dynamic latency, allowing controller inputs to travel to the Xbox Series X console more efficiently, effectively offer more responsive experience. So, and I think this is also coming to the Xbox One consoles as well. But basically, it's allowing those last-gen consoles to pretty much give a better latency experience on the newer consoles. So that way it connects and gives a better responsive control to those new consoles, the Xbox Series S and X, like the new Series X and X consoles do now. It's giving those older controllers that ability. And that's with the Xbox One controllers. That's also with the Elite controller. The Elite Controller 2, which Patrick has, is also in that line of getting this enhancement. So that's awesome. You know, less latency is better, right? Less latency is better. So more responsive controls. So those are really cool aspects. The other aspect that we're talking about is the TV remote. So, right now in the alpha skip phase of the which is their kind of beta version of Xbox, they are allowing those users currently to be able to use TV remotes to control the Xbox Series X and X consoles with the HDMI CEC features, which allows the console to turn on when you boot your TV up, the console turns on. You can use remote. You can turn the volume up and down and stuff like that. But what this allows is you can basically control the dashboard with your TV remote and use streaming apps such as Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Whatever streaming application you use on Xbox, you'll be able to use your TV remote to control those. So if you're one of those late night gamers that after a gaming session, you like to just kick back and grab your TV remote and watch some Netflix on your Xbox or something, you'll be able to do that with just your TV remote. So that's a pretty cool thing. You won't have to have your controller nearby and using up that battery on your controller or anything. You just grab your TV remote, cycle through the Xbox interface, click on that Netflix, and watch your favorite episode of whatever the hell you watch. So it is a pretty cool idea. I'm down with it. I don't watch a lot of Netflix on my Xbox. When I do watch Netflix, I have a lot of smart TVs in my house, so I typically go that route. My Xbox is just for gaming, but we do have some on here that do use their Xbox for watching Netflix and other various video features. I know Russ does, which Russ is not here, but Russ does use that a lot. So for him, this would be great, probably to just sit back and grab his TV remote and be able to cycle through things and watch TV. It kind of reminds me back in the old days of the Kinect, where you could use your hands and swipe and use your Jedi mind vision to play a new game on there. So, or watch a TV show, I should say. So yeah, it's a cool idea, and it's a great feature to add into the ecosystem of the Xbox. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of all these new features? I outlined quite a bit, but Patrick, what do you think of these new features, man?
I was missing something I didn't even realize I was missing with my Elite 2 controller. I did not realize that there was features built into the series controller that allowed for more responsive controls and gameplay. I didn't realize that. And once I read the article, I got to thinking about it. I'm like, there's times where it just seems like my Elite 2 was kind of sluggish or something. And it mostly appeared on the dashboard and stuff like that. I never thought it was. Here's what's funny is the thought never crossed my mind that I'm playing on a previous gen controller with a next gen console until now. And I'm like, that makes sense. The controller really, what was missing. And so I'm glad to see that this is coming to my Elite 2 controller, which is my primary controller that I play everything with, the updates. So I think this is what I didn't think there was in any of the things. I think it was just something that was, I think it was just they began testing it. So on their website, they talked about testing it. So I don't know if it's available to all.
It looks like this firmware update is available for the alpha skip ahead and alpha users today, and will be available in other rings in the coming weeks.
I can't remember what level I'm in. I'm not in skip a level, I don't think. I may be in the alpha.
I'm in beta. The alpha skip and the alpha rings, from what I understand, you have to be invited to those.
Right. So I'm not in those rings. I'm not in those rings myself then. Okay. So, I'm looking forward to that. A better control for my Elite controller, which I love my Elite controller. But I have been tempted by some of the new Halo controller. Those look pretty sweet. The Halo Elite controller, I'm really tempted. I haven't convinced myself yet to spend that kind of money again, but I'm really hoping they learn some lessons from the Elite and the Elite 2 original that they'll fix with this one. So maybe I'll get it. Maybe I won't. The whole controlling the Xbox with the remote, this reminds me, like you said, back in the old Xbox days when they were trying to use it as a media center, because they sold controllers specifically designed for the Xbox, if you remember, that you could use like a regular television. Right now, I use my television Xbox with CEC. I power on the Xbox and the TV comes on. One of the more annoying features I have is when the Xbox goes off, the TV goes off. I've learned my lesson to turn that off because sometimes I flop over to my PlayStation and I'm in the middle of playing PlayStation and the Xbox goes to sleep and the TV goes off. So, PlayStation doesn't have, in my opinion, as good a CEC control as a Xbox does. So it won't tell the TV that it's still active. So it just shuts it off. I'm looking forward to that because occasionally what I do right now is I sit down, I power up my TV with my controller, with my remote, and then I drop it and pick up the controller just so I could cycle through the menus if I want to look at something. Now it'll be just kind of easy to sit back with the remote, cycle through some menus until I get where I'm ready to play, or I'm waiting on everybody to get on so I don't have to just, do all that, and I can leave my controller on the charger. It's a little bit of a help for me, but not as much because I don't watch. I'm like Nick. I don't watch a whole lot of Netflix or anything on my Xbox. I have smart TVs for that, and that's what I use those for. The apps are a little bit more responsive. And I know I have a direct connection for 4K movies and stuff like that, so a little bit more controlled on that type of stuff. So I'm dealing directly with the panel and the control board and not going through another device to then relay the item over HDMI or the visuals over HDMI. So that was not a huge deal for me, but it is kind of cool to be able to use my television remote with my Xbox here because of the CEC connection between it and the Xbox. So cool things for me. I'm more excited about the controller update because I didn't even know I was missing anything until now. How about you, Shane?
The controller stuff is really cool. It's a great thing for gamers. The TV remote, I really would rather just talk about that because making the controller better is obviously better. It's a good thing. The TV remote thing, I just don't see that many people using it. I really don't. I can control my Xbox with my phone. Okay, I can go in there. I can cycle through. I can, select stuff. I can start up a game with it. I can blah, 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 blah. I don't need a remote for it. And like you guys, I have a smart TV. So I use it because I don't want my system on all the time, just to watch TV or movies or whatever. Now I will use it to watch a 4K movie, stuff like that. Sure, but that's a whole different thing. It's not like I'm using it as a media center. So I think the controller thing is just the right move, but I think the TV remote thing is just, it's unnecessary. It's unneeded. I wonder if they took a poll or something like that, asked, 1,000 people, hey, do you feel like you need a damn remote for your Xbox? And people are like, yay.
Well,
or no.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Microsoft is pretty keen on those surveys and stuff like that.
And
we do have one user out of this group that does do that. I mean, Russ watches most of his stuff through the Xbox. I mean, half the time when I see Russ is online, it's usually HBO Max or Netflix or Hulu or something like that. Yeah. So I think for him, not necessarily for us, but I think for him, this would be a big advantage.
Yeah, and I could see it for Russ, but I mean, does Russ... I mean, I don't know if Russ TV does smart and does all that, or, if it's for him, it's just ease of use, but he can do it with his phone. I mean, and he's always got that damn thing in his hand. I mean, he can't rub and tug without his phone.
Half the time I see him online, he's usually watching something on the Xbox through like HBO Plus or HBO Max, Hulu or Netflix or something like that. So I think for him and for users like him, this will be convenient. I mean, I'm sure his TV does smart, but he just decides that he wants to use the Xbox for it.
Right. Yeah, and he could have an older TV, and that's why he likes the Xbox, because it's got a little bit more of the 4K features. I mean, he represents 25% of this group. So if he's 25% of the market, I mean, I do know it's how much easier it is for him just to sit back with the controller and not have to go unplug his controller from wherever it is charging to sit back on the couch with it. And, I would say it's a lot cheaper if you lose a TV remote than the Xbox controller. a lot easier to lose that than.
That is a good.
Here's a question for you guys, though. Are you both playing with the controller that came with the series?
Yes.
Nick, what are you playing with? Are you playing with one of your Xbox One controllers?
I am playing with this. I've bought
he's got some of the prettier controllers.
2 Series X controllers. I bought the blue one, and I think I have another color.
But you're playing with controller design for the Series box, and not
like Series X.
So I'm the only one that's playing with a controller that wasn't designed with the next gen console. So
that might be why you suck. I'm just kidding.
Maybe, maybe could be. That's why Nick.
I like the new control. I mean, I like the controller colors these have out. I mean, they have that new aqua one that looks really pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'd love to have that. Right. And and all console manufacturers do that. I mean, even PlayStation has some awesome console.
Oh yeah, they got a red one that's gorgeous.
Yeah, the red one looks great.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love those Xbox ones. I bought the blue one, which I absolutely love, and then they have this aqua one now, which looks fantastic. So I'd love to do the design lab where I can create my own, but I really love those colors that come out, especially like you said, Patrick, with the Series 2 Halo one.
Yeah.
And the Halo one that comes with the exclusive X or Halo
Series
console.
Yep.
Man, I would love to have that separately. I mean, and I think they came out with a red one recently, I want to say, that looks really good too. So I'm like, man, I love those, and I tend to buy them from time to time.
Yeah, see, I've got the Elite 2. So technically, if we look at our group of friends, we're a 50-50 mix, right? I use the Elite 2. Russ has the Elite controller. So we're both last-gen controllers where you guys are current-gen controllers. I do love the color schema and stuff, but I think my Elite 2 controller just feels better in my hand than those do. And here's something I wish Microsoft would do. I wish they would let me customize my Elite 2 controller, like pick colors, and I want to make mine look more like, because I love the blue controller that Nick was talking about. Both of them, the aqua and the blue one, the aqua one that we just saw not so long ago. Love that thing, and I want one so bad. But I'm spending almost $200 on my Elite controller if I put that thing away for something that's $70 or $60 or whatever it is. So I do love that, and I would have them if I didn't spend the money on the Elite 2 controller. But I said I almost might spend it on the Halo one. I don't know. I really liked the Halo one. I actually like the Xbox controller that comes with the Halo console more than I like the Elite Halo one. I like the way it looks better, but, you know.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done that with the design labs, you know. I mean, especially considering how much freaking money an Elite costs, Elite 2. You know, you'd think they would set something like that up in the design labs. You know, you can order an Elite 2, unlimited coloring scheme or whatever for that amount. I mean,
or pick a schema for some of their current one. You can say, I want an Elite controller, Elite 2, but I want it in the aqua color schema.
Yep.
I understand why they can't, because it's such a premium controller, and then they have to get different colors for the faceplate, because it's all feels like much more sturdier than a regular controller. But
it's got a heft to it that feels just right.
Yeah.
Just right.
It's like when you get it's like when you get your first weighted gaming mouse, you know, you pick up an old mouse and you're like, and then you pick up a gaming mouse, like, oh, this has got some weight to it. And then you go back to a regular one, you're about throwing the regular mouse across the room.
You get a Rat 7.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait a minute, this feels different.
Yeah. Like I've still got my G602, and
I got a just straight Logitech mouse, but I mean, like, for a long time I wanted one of the Rat 7 gaming mice because they had the weights in them and different programmable buttons and all that stuff on there, and so yeah, I mean, talking about the Halo one that came with the series, I hope after that Series X or Series X Halo console comes out that they sell those Halo controllers separately, because I will buy one.
I want one too. I'd buy one even with my other one, but I guarantee you they won't split that out, because that's going to be an exclusive thing that you get with the console.
And all the scalpers have picked that shit up, some dirty bastards. But I mean, I think I think making controllers better is just great. Just great. I don't, on a personal level, don't really care about using a remote for my Xbox, because I just won't need it to watch movies or whatnot, because my TV does everything. And, hint, hint, honey, I want a new TV. My next one will do all the same things, even better. Hint, hint, honey. So it's, to me, it's a pointless fact. But, like you did say, Pat, Russ is a quarter of us, and, a remote would work wonders for him. He could use his phone, he could use a remote, he could use a controller, so whatever's got a dead battery, he just switched and grabs that mouse.
Right. And you could,
and for those gamers out there.
Well, as I say, you think about that. He's got his Xbox is plugged into his living room TV. So the girlfriend's over at his house. She doesn't have to have her phone hooked into anything or use his phone. She just picks up the remote, powers it on. The Xbox comes on. She can watch Netflix on there. She doesn't have to grab his phone or anything like that, or figure out how to use the Xbox controller, right? Maybe she's not a gamer. They don't have to know how to mess with the controller and stuff. She'd be like, oh, the apps are right here, and using the television remote. So I think it's a good thing for people like Russ and maybe other people who share the TV with the family in the living room. It would be good if they wanted to pick it up and watch Netflix, and they don't have smart TVs, or maybe their TV's older and the Xbox has better controls and better app controls than TV. So I think it's a good move for them in both aspects, the controller and the remote.
Well, good for them. I'm ready for a new Power Glove.
That would be Nintendo. Yes, I agree.